Thank you very much for everyone joining to this DiSCO event. This is the third edition, so let's get into it. So please mute yourself during the presentations and write your questions in the chat. And we're going to have a few minutes after each presentations for the presenters to answer your questions, or if you want to jump in, you're so welcome. If you're new into this community, Designers in Space community, this is an initiative to promote the strategic uses design within the space sector. So we welcome either creative that are trying to join the space sector, or people from the industry who are already there, trying to shake things up, to add a little bit of the user-centered perspective and the designing creative perspective into the project. So everyone is welcome here. Um, in this community, there has been a lot of events happening. So at the IAC, let's hope we can meet as well this year over there in Milan. But yeah, we make breakfast, we participate in different conferences, and also the community has given courses about design and user experience for space industry. So the different activities that the community makes is like, as you already know, the WhatsApp group, the different industry and conferences we participate. We make newsletters, follow us and our social medias as well. We also share Medium articles, which are very interesting. Actually, I think last week it was released a new one, so check that out. We also promote the value of design during not also talks, but also by giving the community sometimes projects to take part in. So you're very welcome if anytime we give a call out for everyone who wants to jump in and make different projects regarding space industry and design. You're so very welcome to join. And well, this is the medium that we promote. So let's take a look. Thank you. And yeah, so this particular event, it is created for our community. So every time a member of the community wants to give and share what they're doing, their experiences, their projects, they have the stage here to share their knowledge and their feedback. And this is a good way for us to get inspired and to keep this conversation going. So this is very exciting. Yeah, every idea is welcome. Either you're starting into the space industry or you already have a long career in here. You're so welcome to participate. So if you want to participate in the next edition, please send us a message into the group, or you can send me a message directly. So this is just to have fun, to be creative, and to connect with each other. This event is completely informal. Today we are going to have 3 speakers, so we have a bit more time for them to explain their projects. So they're going to have from 7 to 10 minutes to present. And after the presentation, there's going to be a 2-minute Q&A session. And we encourage you to participate. Please let us know if you have any questions. And enjoy. So our speakers today are going to be Ankush, Chris, and Coralie. Each have their own unique experiences and expertise, so we're very excited to have them here. Thank you guys for jumping in to participate. We're going to be starting with Ankush. I'm gonna pause the music. Ankush, with a Master of Science degree
Hello.
in Product. Hi, thank you, Ankush. In Product and Service Design for Sapienza University of Roma. He's a product service designer blending artistry with functionality. He designs products that transform everyday experiences into moments of delight and efficiency. And fun fact, he's topping his fantasy Premier League mini league. So welcome, Ankush, and I'm gonna jump in
Hello.
into
Hello.
your presentation.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
does it show? Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. So, hello everyone. I'm Ankush, and as you know, I'm topping my fantasy league, mini league. So, but other than that, I am also interested in space and design. And this was my thesis work. And recently, we are going to publish it in a journal. And what my project was basically about is a dining table for space in which I used virtual reality technology so that I can understand it better. And the name of my work was Cosmic Kaksh. Kaksh in Hindi means basically a room. So it was a room in space, which also translates to space station. Next. Yeah, so this was my design procedure, which was very much different from a basic design procedure because since I integrated virtual reality, you can see that I have a virtual reality simulation, and after that, I did some research. So basically, every design process has some way of doing things, which is from research, and then we do some ideation, brainstorming, and we do some testing. So I have the same thing. But since then, obviously, we can't go to space. I created a virtual reality simulation of zero gravity. And then I tested my objects, my design into that. And based on that, I refined my project and refined my work. So if you go next, you can see that this is the whole process in where in research you can see that I collected the data, I visualized it, and based on that I did some user persona. And the funny thing is, after VR testing, you can see that if there is some problem, I again went back to the brainstorming session. Next. Oh yeah, so this is it, and Cosmic Kaksh, as I explained you before, it is a room in space. Next. Yeah, so again, this is a zero gravity environment, and in space there is no up and down, as we all know. Some of the things I have dumbed it down for the people who are not interested in space, because when I needed to present it, I needed to explain it in much more detail. So you will know that there are some things that can be skipped. And next. Yeah, so since you know that in space there is no up and down, so you frequently change your orientation. So here you can see that people are changing their orientation quite frequently, and I will leverage it in order to make things quite interesting in here. Next. Yeah, here you can see that if I apply those rules of object placement on Earth, this is how our room will look like. So I talked to some industry experts, and we came across some problems that astronauts face, which were interpersonal tension, isolation and loneliness, sleep deprivation, stress. And we have to also emphasize that the people who go to space are quite strong-willed, and they're quite good with what they do, and still space breaks them. The reason is a lot of things, and we collected some of the things that affects them. So based on that, I try to design my dining table, which can help them in, overcoming these problems. Next. So here you can see that a dining table space how it can play a significant role in addressing those problems because it can facilitate social interaction, it can create a sense of normalcy, it can reduce stress through rituals, and it can improve moods and morale, and it can create a multi-purpose space so that everyone can come around and have a great time. And right now, the dining table here, you can see that it is not that good, it is cluttered, it has lots of flaws. Next. Yeah, next. Yeah, so what I did was I used my virtual reality headset, and with that, I did some simulation. I gave it to the sample space of around 40 to 50 people, and I asked them that, okay, walk around, tell me what you feel, how it works, and how do you feel? And based on that, I collected some data, which were next. So based on that, I collected some data, and these were some main insights. And after that, I visualized it, and you can see in the next slide that it is not intuitive, and there were lots of problems. It was not easy to manage crumbs. It was not visually appealing. The table should be easy to clean, easy to access. So these were some of the insight that I got from the people who experienced the dining table, which is present in the International Space Center. And through that, we'll try to go into we will try to design a dining table which can solve all these problems. So what we'll see next is a pre-existing design. But since then, I will try to explain that why this table does not work and why virtual reality is important. Because in here, you can see that you don't have a weight in space. And if you try to pull this dining table, instead of pulling it, you will also pull yourself towards the table. So that's why this will not work in a zero gravity environment. And that is the main reason using virtual reality really helps. So in the ideation, you can see that this is our astronaut Rakesh Sharma, and there's a few things he needs which are easy to clean and it is easy to manage. The dining table should be easy to manage and it should serve as a social space. Next. So this is some of the ideation that he got introduced to the dining table, and later on he can see that the dining table was easy to install. So this is our user journey, which is part of our design process. In that you can see that in next you can see in the if you go to the next slide, you can see that he wants to have a way where everyone can join together, and he wants a table which is easy to maintain, and he wants a place where it will integrate into everyone's social life. So if you go to the next few slides yeah, to slide number 21. Yeah, so this was my brainstorming session where and also a design form evolution. So you can see that I started with a basic design, which is very closely related to the pre-existing design. I tried to add Velcro, I tried to add handle, I tried to add straps, and I added to the wall. And then I thought that maybe you can rotate it. And I also added a pull-out function. And what I did was, if you go next, I implemented into a virtual reality simulation that I created. Uh, uh, and in here, you can see that there were a few insights, which I can take it from there. If you go to the next slide, you will see that the few takeaways were pull-out function was good, Velcro, rotating table, and handrails were good. But the things to avoid was it was occupying a lot of space and no railing for legs. It was not big enough, and it was not different from the original design. So I will try to go for something else. And what I did was I put the whole design. If you go to the next slide, I put the whole dining table inside the walls of the space station. And after that, what I made a tabletop which folds away in a manner that the whole table can stay inside the wall. And still, if some person wants to go near it and if just one person wants to use it, it can open a little part of it. So I made few changes, and again I tried to, if you go to the next slide, I did again some virtual reality testing. And based on that, there were few takeaways were the whole table should be readjusted to the center and the whole table should be rotated 180 degree. The button should be at the tabletop, and also there should be some handrails to keep the person at his place. So if you go to the final concept, next slide. Yeah, so I came up with this final design where what I did was I merged the Velcro and the strap so that on top it is Velcro and on the bottom it is the strap. So this really helps in adjusting the whole things very easily. And if you go to the next, this is my final virtual reality testing, where with the help of Unity, I made the whole simulation, and based on that, I tested it. Please don't mind the whole space environment near it because it is not exactly how it should look like, but it is just aesthetic.
And my career prospects. No, not just government, honey, but business consultancy.
Hmm. Yeah, okay. If you go to the next, and there's a few of the virtual reality testing you can go. And if you want to go to the dimension on slide number 31, here it is, which is 85 centimeter wide, the top one, and overall it is 184 centimeters wide, and also in lengthwise it is 102 centimeters. So that's it. And if you want to see the material, I try to went for peak carbon fiber. And on the right hand side, you can see that I try to tick mark each and every requirements which were there initially that I took from the ideation part and what were the requirements were. So I think that I when I selected peak carbon fiber, it made it very easy to clean and also safe. And I also did a simulation at Fusion 360, and you can see that I applied here with around 10,000 Newton of force, and the maximum displacement was just 2 centimeters. 10,000 newtons of force is equivalent to weight of a sedan car. So you can see that it is quite strong, and also it is lightweight. And if you want to compare something that you know that peak carbon fiber is quite costly, but the thing is sending it to space makes the whole difference. Because if you're going for a cheap aluminum, but if you want to send it to space, because of the weight, sending an aluminum or something made out of wood will be expensive than having an expensive and lightweight material that you can send to space. So we should all, I consider that as well. And here you can see that you can put these things all together. The whole table is peak carbon fiber, and on the railings I used uh, uh, padding, and also I added elastic strap with Velcro on the top. So I merged both of them. So you can use its elasticity to put some things like banana or apple to fix it into its place. And if you want to put something just on top, you can do it as well. And if you go to the next slide, you can see that there are different ways we can use it. Next. So yeah, this is how it is when pulled out. So you can see that it is a intuitive layout. And if you go to next, you can see that this is how the function will look like. Yeah, keep going. When you pull it out, then you have to press the button. So it's like a suitcase that has this railing thing. So I took some inspiration from that. So yeah, the next is how people are there, and yeah. Okay, hold on. Can you go back? One more, one more slide. Yeah, so you can see that in other way, because there is no up and down in space. When you change your orientation, just one person can use it as well. So if you go to the next slide, you can see that changing orientation can help you, just one person use it. And what we did was the cutout inside the initial table will also be help into the person stay much closer to the table, and he can fix his legs there, and this can help him in working. So this is the table, and you can see in slide number around 48 that the three sides have Velcro, and the cutout also has handles so that you can keep yourself into it, because some of the main problems were keeping yourself fixed into its position. So I leveraged that. And what I did was, if you go to next slide into the add-ons, yeah, next. Yeah, you can see that those cutouts can be used to put something which is customizable games. So in here you can play air hockey, but obviously with the help of magnet, the striker should be under a glass table. So we can use it in this way, and this is customized for space. And we can use it, if you go to the next slide, you can use it for storing different things around it, below it. And also the tabletop also works as keeping lots of other things safe from floating away, and the rest from the rest of the table. So if you want to put something into the net mesh, it will stay there, and when you put the tabletop on, it will make it more safe. For example, if you are using a scissor or a knife in there, this will be much better. So that's the conclusion, that I successfully designed an innovative dining table, and it is ideal for astronauts. It fosters unity, and it is ergonomically crafted. It is easy to store. And few takeaways I can do is that in future, what I can use it, the handrail has soft grips and also the socks. And what we can do for the zero gravity simulation is, after the zero gravity simulation, we can implement it into air trim, which is rotating, which also used for fighter pilots, and we can use virtual reality onto them so that they can have a better way of training. So that's it. And if you have any questions, you can ask.
Thank you, Ankush. I think we went a little bit over the time. So, guys, if you have one question, please let us know. Um, if not, we can continue. We can also go ahead with the questions at the end of all presentations. So, thank you very much, Ankush. It was a really interesting
Yeah.
take, and
You're welcome.
I think it's really interesting the part that you tested it in VR simulations, and it was a bit tricky to try it here on Earth. So it's a pretty cool
Yeah.
ergonomics
Yeah.
kind of exercise. Thank you very much. Well, so now we will continue with Chris. He's a multidisciplinary space scientist, award-winning project manager with additional experience in internal and external communications and legislative affairs. I'm so sorry for my English. Currently, his research is analyzing the creative economy and its impact on the space workforce and ecosystem. He has spoken to global audiences about space innovation, ecosystems, arts, and humanity. So, Chris, thank you very much for joining. This is the stage.
All right, everyone. How are you doing today? I hope everyone's doing well. Yep, thank you for moving on. Next slide. Really quickly, I had a question for everyone, or at least something to think about. Have you ever thought about what the creative economy is to you before? And are you aware of this term? And if you are or aren't, is there something when you were growing up that influenced you or pushed you into wanting to do what you do now and got you interested in the space sector in general? And that's kind of what we're going to carry going forward here. What I'm going to talk with you about today is creative economy, and kind of how it impacts the design sector, and talk a little bit about a market research study that I'm working on right now that looks at the creative economy for space workforce development and is planning on tracking some of those influences. Next slide. So really quickly about me, and sorry, this doesn't seem to have transferred perfectly from PowerPoint over to Google Slides, and I apologize for that. But currently by day, I'm working on deep tech research and commercialization, the deep tech and deep research fields. And then by night, I'm a co-founder in Beyond Earthbound, where we focus on space arts and humanities and have a little bit of a community going over there. I spent 4 years in film, TV, and entertainment, planning and doing production work. And a lot of that was around making sure storylines and everything that went with that would appeal to the certain audiences that we were working with. And then I spent 6 years as a creative technologist while I was in school and a little bit towards the end of my time in the film industry. And I've spent around 10 years total working with state and national governments. And some of this work has overlapped with one another. This wasn't running end to end. So I'm not, 20 years older than it looks here. So a lot of this was occurring simultaneously. I volunteer in the arts and medical fields, and I'm planning on learning more about greenhouse gas accounting coming up and cultural heritage, just for a little bit background on me. Now jumping into creative economy and design. Next slide. Next slide, please. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that chart did not come across well either. Sorry about that. So generally, many different creative industry fall within the creative economy, and there's a listing of them there. In general, the creative economy, as defined by Josh Hawkins, is also sometimes called the orange economy, and it comprises creative industries that require knowledge-based, skilled participants to generate products and services. Globally, the creative economy is about 6% of global GDP, and on average in each country, it composes about 2 to 7% of a country's overall GDP. When you compare this to the space sector only accounts for 0.6% of global GDP. So the creative economy in general is about 10 times greater than the overall space sector in impacts, and it's often undercounted. So one of the really important things to note here is as an industry, this is a very hard industry to quantify, and it's very hard to really understand its economic impacts because a lot of informal participants in the creative economy, and there's a lot of people that don't ultimately make it into censuses of who's working in it or not. But it has long had measurable impacts and significant impacts on many other sectors. So this tends to be one of those places where the creative economy as a whole impacts a lot of different sectors. And it's one of those enabling forces across a variety of activities. Next slide, please. The design fields tend to fall under the creative economy in a lot of countries in how they measure what is going on. And specifically in most countries and under the UN's accounting for this, design and creative services are bundled together. So this would be design and marketing, this would be design and web design, and graphic design. All those different fields tend to get lumped together into what is design and the creative services. On average, design and creative services make up 20 to 30% of a country's GDP that is not written correctly. On average, the creative design and creative services make up about 20 to 30% of the overall economic activity within the creative economy as a whole, leading to be about 1.5% of global GDP can be attributed to design and creative services. And one of the things I put on here just to quickly talk about is this is an example of a recent product that was launched with through the Martin Agency, which is a whole house design and marketing firm here in Richmond, Virginia. And they recently did the Space Dunk initiative with Oreo. So they used Oreo and they used space as an idea to inspire a bunch of people to want to try this new product. Did a lot of interesting user studies and research to figure out different aspects of this and to figure out what people would actually want to do. So they partnered with Space Perspective. They're giving away 2 seats on one of the first Space Perspective flights. And they also found out different flavors, different colors, different things to put on these Oreos. And it was a resounding success. They sold out of all of the limited edition run of these Oreos within about 2 weeks. And it got a lot of press here in the United States. I don't know how much it got internationally. But moving on to the next slide. So with Beyond Earthbound, we're currently doing a creative economy research paper, specifically looking at the creative economy's impact on workforce development and how it's inspired people to pursue STEM workforce jobs. We will be sharing our methodology that we're going to be using going into the survey coming up in about at IAC in October. And specifically, just a piece from our abstract there is we're doing a market research study for space workforce development, examining the impact of the creative economy on the contemporary space workforce and forecasting critical trends likely to shape its trajectory. We're doing this study to better shape and enable better messaging and targeting of opportunities to people interested in the space workforce. We're also doing this to lay some of the groundwork for missing information as we move into a larger creative economy study. So right now, we don't actually even know how the creative economy impacts space and what amount of money flowing from the creative economy towards the space economy is linked in the GDP. And we're going to try to understand that through this paper. And we're hoping in late 2024 or early 2025, we're going to launch the study and get about 0.25 to 0.75% of the global space workforce's inputs to learn more about them, which would roughly equate to about 3,000 to 4,000 people. Final slide. If you wanted to learn more about the creative economy in general, there's this really good study that came out last week from the UN. They specifically were looking at all the different ways this is accounted for across the globe to try to come to a standard so we can stop undercounting the creative economy. and get better statistics. I dropped the link to it there. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And if you have any questions about this presentation, I'm happy to hear them. So that's it from me.
Thank you very much, Chris. And guys, please feel free to jump in if you have any questions. This is very interesting, Chris. Well, while if anyone else has a question, I do have one. In the research that you have done so far in the creative industry within the space sector, do you see any trends? Because I heard that you said like overall marketing and graphic design, that's where we most well, I've seen that we reside the creatives in the space industry, but do you see a trend with like that goes like branch out or something like that or grows?
So I know in early research, looking at the creative industries in general, it looks like architecture is a slighter within the sector than it would be within other industries or where it overlaps. So it looks like architecture is a little bit higher, and it looks like film and television is a little bit lower than usual. When on really early preliminary data, it does look like the design and creative services area is still about 20 to 30%. So it's about expected, but architecture definitely seems to be higher, but not by like a full order of magnitude.
Oh, okay, that's really
And we'll have better data on that later.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. And looking forward to reading or seeing your presentation at the IAC. It looks really interesting. Oh yes, well, Ola is sharing that from the DiSCO community, we got accepted about a paid in the state of design in the space industry, and we're going to make an analysis of all the academic papers that have been presented with design included into the paper. It would be a different approach, but yes, Ola is so right about that. So it will be good to have this conversation, and maybe comparing these two approaches to understanding this inclusion of the creative sector within the space industry. It will be a very interesting conversation.
Absolutely, it'd be a lot of fun. And yes, we're definitely taking a slightly different approach. We're looking at economic data specifically, and then we're going to go from there, build into demographic profiles and build some user personas at the end of this. So after we get those 4,000 people, we're hopefully going to be able to generate a couple really quality user personas about some of the different actors that are participating in the space economy.
Okay, well, looking forward to it. Thank you very much, Chris. This is really interesting. Oh yeah, so we will continue with our final speaker, Coralie. She has been the incubator's coordinator for 2 years now at ISU, helping project leaders with their ideas. Having been a student at ISU, SSP 21, she helps students to develop their projects with expertise in space, innovation, and the local ecosystem. Before this experience, Coralie obtained a master's degree in design and research from La Sorbonne. So sorry for my pronunciation, which is focused on human spaceflight and has since published several articles. So Coralie, welcome, and this is your stage now.
Thank you very much, and hello everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and I would like to thank the whole team for this invite, because it's really a pleasure to be there. So today I would like to talk about how I went from design and research to space entrepreneurship, but how all of this works together also with my background and maybe what will come next. So a little bit of my background just to understand a little bit better. Also what I will say about my experience with the incubator. So yeah, as you said, I have a master in design and research from La Sorbonne in Paris, and I've focused my master's thesis on design and imaginary and how they evolve in the space industry and influence also all the creativity and design activities. And then after all this design background, both practical and research, I've decided to join the space industry because that was the main theme of my thesis. So I really wanted to continue with that. So I joined the ISU, the International Space University, as a student first, because I really wanted to know more about the space industry, to be able to understand all the aspects and what it involved, basically. And I stayed at the International Space University first as a teaching associate during the master, and then as a coordinator of their incubator and all the entrepreneurship activities, which I will talk about it a bit later. But on the side of all these activities, and goes to the next slide, please. I'm doing some other projects because I really wanted to continue on research and practice as a designer. So I published some papers at IAC. There's one actually coming from 2024. And I've also joined some research program, like the Milky Way research program of Deep Space Initiative. And last year I also did the space station design workshop in Stuttgart at the Institute of Space Systems, which was amazing. I highly recommend it. It was really great to be a part of this team and to have the design section as an entire subsystem that was as considered as the others subsystem. So that was really interesting, but we can talk about it later. But that's all the things that I'm doing also on the side to continue to work as a designer and a researcher, because now that I'm on the entrepreneurship aspects, I have a little bit less of this, but it's also interesting. But I will talk about it in the next slide. So the incubator, yeah, you can jump directly at the next one. So a little bit for the International Space University, if you don't know, I know there are several alumni here and present today, but ISU has been founded in 1987 and has over 5,600 alumni, and it's been in France for a while, in the Strasbourg region, and has several programs, the master degree, the specialty program that I did, the executive space course. So all these programs are made for different people. So for example, the master is more for students, while the SSP and the executive space course are more for professionals. So for example, if you have a company and wants to open a department, a space related department, well, you can send the employees that are going to work on that during the executive space course and have 1 week of training where you learn what's the space industry and all these aspects. The International Space University is interdisciplinary and international, so it will really cover everything. Next slide, please. But since 2018, ISU has an incubator because, as I said, it's interdisciplinary. So during some workshops, especially new space entrepreneurship workshops, the students have more or less 2 weeks to create a business plan and come with an idea for a startup. And then they will have the help of all the experts that are joining and also the local partners and a final jury to develop their idea. And after the workshop, sometimes some students want to go further with their idea and actually create startups. But they couldn't do it at ISU because we did not have the structure, the support to do so. And so in 2019, ISU decided to create the incubator with the help of the local ecosystem. So the incubator has been funded and supported by Strasbourg, the Eurométropole of Strasbourg. And so the main objective was really to help the students to develop their ideas, to develop the space ecosystem in this region, and to hopefully come up with great projects that will allow more job opportunities and to develop this industry in the Alsace region. So no, just if you can go back, just to explain a little bit, no, just the one before, please. Just to explain very briefly, it's okay, no worries. Just to explain very briefly how the incubator works. So basically we have a 3 months pre-incubation program, which is there to de-risk the project. So because we're working both with students, but also more advanced projects, we needed to have a time before the incubation period to help them to review the business plan or to help them with registration or all this administrative, but not just administrative, also to make sure they have a real timeline and a budget plan, everything they need. So we have 3 months pre-incubation that can be extended as much as necessary, basically. We help them with registration. We actually pay for this. So to really make sure the startup can, I would say that can develop themselves the best way possible. And then there's 2 years for incubation, where we basically support with everything. On site, the incubator is at the same level as, the staff is at the same level as all the incubators in the incubator area. So this helps a lot. And we help administratively, financially, to find funds everywhere, both in our network, but also in the local network. We also help the startups to get in touch with the experts coming for the master or all our other programs, or with our students if they need to hire both employees but also interns. So all of this is a perfect environment. I mean, a university is great for that because there's a lot of people come in all the time, a lot of different expertise. So all of this can be used for the incubators and their projects. Yeah, the next slide, please. So as I said before, we are an ecosystem incubator. So it means that we are really strongly attached to where we are right now, which is Strasbourg, France, in the Alsace region, since we are supported by this local ecosystem. So it means that our main criteria, if you come to me with a project, of course, I will look if there's anything space related. If not, go see elsewhere. But if it's space related, I will definitely be interested in your project. I will hear about your business plan, about everything. But secondly, I will also look how it can fit in our ecosystem. So for example, in Strasbourg, they're really interested in space applied to health, mobility, or climate change. This is really something they're strongly focused on, and so it's easier to get the local funds. I don't say it's absolutely necessary. I just say it's easier to have your project in the incubator and to fit in the ecosystem. Next slide, please. And then the next 2 slides are just about everything that happens in the incubator. So since I'm the coordinator of the incubator, I should have said that before, but I'm taking care of all of this. So what I'm saying right now, it's essentially my work. So if you have any questions, do not hesitate. So I'm also taking care of thematic conferences, because all the startups that we have, sometimes we can find links between them. For example, some are health related or ecological focused. So we can create conferences with that. I've actually created 2, one in last December that was Health in Space, which is, as I said, focused on health. And the other one was in April, so really not that long ago. It was Space for Water Management. So really focused on sustainability and climate change. And the idea with this conference is it's to have 2 startups from the incubator presenting to the ecosystem, and institution talking also, presenting what they're doing, and then having a roundtable. And during this roundtable, both our startups and the institutions are talking together to try to understand their needs, what's already on the market, what is not, and to create collaboration. It's really the purpose to make everyone, to have everyone together and to talk and think about the subject of the conference. Next slide, please. And about the life in the incubator. So as I said, all the employees, so basically me, are in the incubator at the same level of the building than the startup. So it's easier to talk together if they need spontaneous meetings because they are on something, or they need help with their applications for fundings or anything else, or talk with a partner. I can be there, of course. And we also organize some cycles of presentations for the partners. So all the incubators will be invited basically to several presentations once a month or more, it depends. And they can have, for for example, ISAPIC coming and presenting how to apply to these funds. They can also have some administrative help, how to do your taxes. Here in France, especially if you're not from here, it can be a bit tricky. So you can have someone coming to present how to do, and then to have an individual talk afterwards. So this is also something we really try to do. And the last point is, like, for example, when we're invited in conferences or space-related events, and like we go because we have a booth or something, we always try to bring the startup's communication and marketing elements with us on our booth, so you're always visible. Yeah, next, please. So then all this incubator and space entrepreneurship experience has some benefits and disadvantages from my point of view. What I'm going to say right now, take it like just as my point of view as a designer and researcher for the space industry that had the opportunity to work for space entrepreneurship. If you are a designer that is maybe a bit lost or doesn't find his dream job in the space industry because, let's say, there's not space for, it doesn't look like right now there's a role for everyone. So if you want to do like me and try something in the space industry to stay in this sector, well, this is what I can say. So the benefits I had with this experience, that it was super interesting to learn about innovative projects and how entrepreneurship works. Honestly, it made me want to create my own company. For that, it was really interesting. And I also had a lot of freedom, which I'm very grateful for. So all the communication you just saw, pretty much all the thing you can see on social media, or also all the conferences or events that I'm creating, I am very free on that. So it's great for creation and for me to have a project from the start to the end. The tasks are also very different, so that's something that it's super interesting. On the designer point of view, it's very administrative. So when you're used to think in a way that it's just easy to create, you need to draw to make you understand. I mean, for all the people who had like a design training or background, you know a bit what I mean, but it's very, sometimes it can be something frustrating because you don't have this creativity all the time. It's actually pretty rare because you take care mostly of other people projects, which is interesting because you see different ideas, different innovations, and you really want to help these people to have their company and their ideas out there. But it can be a bit frustrating when you're used to make project and to have a client in front of you asking for something creative or whatever. So this is also something that I found. So this is very interesting because from my background, but also what I saw in this professional experience, I can definitely see now what I would like to keep and what I would like to give up. It was my first professional experience, so I'm saying that like this. So it's very interesting to have this balance. But I wanted to share this experience with you, both what I'm doing and what I think about it, because I think a lot of people are in the situation I was when I finished my master and wanted to join the space industry, and you don't necessarily find the job, or you can't really enter the space industry, and it can be a bit frustrating at first. Just, yeah, that's maybe a little bit of what you can expect from some coordinations or more administrative jobs as a designer. But as I said, I have some side projects too that keeps all the research part and all of this very active. So that's a good balance, I think. So yeah, I think the next slide is just, yeah, thank you and questions. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much, Coralie. And guys, if you already know, if you have any questions, please let it in the chat, or you could also jump into the call. I do have a question, Coralie. So from your experience while being in the incubator, have you seen any entrepreneurship projects from creative people with the creative sector participate in or creating new projects there?
Not really, unfortunately, but I've seen one, and we could not accept it, unfortunately, because it did not want it to adapt its technology to what the locals wanted, which was not a huge change, but he really wanted to stick to the space industry. He did not want it to open on Earth activities with his technology, and that was the problem. We could not get in it because there's just a space use, and that was a bit hard to have it. So, I mean, apart from this person, I'm thinking, no, not really. That's a
Oh,
shame.
it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. So maybe later. I don't know. So
I
if
hope
if
so.
you have an idea, please come. We need more of us.
Yes, definitely. And it's very interesting since I've also seen that there have been some struggles for startups that are like mainly focused on space services but not applied to Earth. And I think that the revenue and the short-term sustainability is not as good from what I've seen.
Yeah, it makes me think of a startup right now that I'm helping, and their technology is first applied to Earth and then space, and they're struggling too. That's but
Oh,
I mean,
really?
it's yeah, and the project is really interesting. So honestly, it really depends on the way maybe you sell it, the opportunities you have when you enter the market, the ecosystem. Again, I'm insisting on that, but it's very important because if you come with something, for example, mining, if you come to me with mining and I tell the people that are supporting us in Strasbourg that you want to do mining, I'm not sure they will like it. So, but somewhere else it can be the topic. Like, for example, if you go in Luxembourg and you talk about space mining, they might like it. So it really depends where you are located and which institution or organization you're targeting with your project.
Interesting. So we have questions in the chat. Have you seen NASA's speed-ups?
No, I haven't. So I will be happy
Which
to have more details about it.
Thank you, Tokosani. I'm so sorry if I
Oh,
mispronounced your name.
hi. Sorry about that. Hello.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just listening to your comment about how you find that a lot of the projects that people come into your incubation for always space for space. So I was also looking and reading up on um, going into NASA is the big space industry, Ankush. Sorry. Uh, the I was looking at how space could be relevant for Earth. Since I'm also looking at doing research for that for a space agency within South Africa, which is SENSA. And it was one of the main questions that I asked when I was at the National Space Conference about a year ago. So yeah, that's what I was asking if you ever came across NASA spin-offs, and I saw a lot of that happening on their page where they were converting some of their very heavy deep space or low Earth orbit space technologies and converting them into end user or earth-based technologies for the benefit of humanitarian projects. Not all of them are, some of them are like very basic things. So yeah, I was just looking at that. So may I please ask, just to follow up on a question, have you ever done an incubation workshop where maybe you've applied design thinking um, for end users based on Earth for space-based technologies?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit what we're doing with the master students during the space entrepreneurship workshop, because the very first days are really important to brainstorm and just understand what the students wants to do, because they have to create the business plan by groups. So it's not one individual coming with an answer. They have to work all together to kind of get a subject out of the group. So it's a bit applied. I can't say that we're applying it completely, that the entire methodology is that, but it has a little bit of it. But we've never been intentional with it. It's just it's a way for the students to work together. But yeah, we've never said that we are gonna apply this specific way to think to this workshop. This we've never, but that's something we encourage in another way, like the way they can all work together, especially the first days.
Well, thank you very much, Coralie. I'm not sure if we have more questions from everybody, but well, thank you very much for. Oh, Chris already left. He told me that he had another meeting, but Ankush, Coralie, thank you very much for your presentations, for your projects. They're really interesting, and I think, well, a main takeaway I can take from this experience, from hearing you, is what you were saying, like the creatives and the designers getting into the space industry. It can be a bit tricky, it can be a bit intimidating, since we are still looking our place where we can fit into the whole ecosystem as creatives. But it's very inspiring to hear, well, the three of you sharing your experiences and sharing what you have done in your careers. And I mean, even if there is no let's say place like a cube where we can fit in, it's amazing what we can just move around like water and look around for places where we can actually fit. We can put our inputs into the conversation. So I think it's really inspiring and very important that. So thank you very much, guys. And yes, please get involved. You must know, Ankush, Chris, and Coralie are part of our community, so you can also find them in our WhatsApp group. And guys, if you want to share your LinkedIn in the group chat, it would be great. So thank you very much, everyone, and thank you for making some time of your day to join us. Yeah, we'll keep chatting and having this amazing conversation.